Good evening and Happy New Year. All right, I'd like to call this organizational meeting to order. Mr. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Okay, for the, pardon me, for the record, I'd like to note that all the recently elected board members have been duly certified and sworn into office, so they are eligible to take their seat at the board.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Treasurer.
with that in mind, Ms. Adair?
Present.
Ms. Beckerly?
Present.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Cole?
Present.
Ms. Pierce?
Dr. Pierce?
Dr. Pierce?
Present.
Mr. Ragland?
Present.
Ms. Reyes?
Present.
You have a quorum?
Okay, wonderful. I would like to call, if at all possible, our young lady from Upper Arlington, our student, up to the dais to dispense the Pledge of Allegiance. Can you tell us your name, young lady?
Molly.
Molly? Molly? All stand, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Molly. Freshman student from Upper Arlington, thank you for visiting us today. First and foremost, Happy New Year to everyone in our audience and to all of our staff and my colleagues here at the board. We're looking forward to an outstanding year and many years to come, but I definitely want to make sure we bring in the new year with as much, how can I say, just excitement as possible. With that, first I'll read through the agenda. Once we adopt the agenda, we will appoint President Pro Tem. Next, we will have a ceremonial set of swear-ins. Following that, we will elect the president and vice president of 2020. Lastly, we will approve the 2020 meeting calendar, but actually what we will do is take that off the table. We'll actually table that. We will table the calendar for 2020. We will also table the committee appointments. We'd like more time as a board to be able to further discuss and deliberate on those matters to ensure that we're all confident about how we're going to move forward. Yes.
You don't want to do the calendar, you want to do the evaluations of superintendent, treasurer.
So we will table for the next meeting again the calendar, the evaluations. Thank you. Thank you. As you can see, this is Mr. Cole's first time doing this, but that's all right. That's all right. Okay, so we will table the evaluations. We'll also table committee appointments. All right.
Motion?
Yes.
I motion that we table 5.6 and 5.7 of the agenda. Second.
Is there a second? So moved by Board Member Adair, seconded by Board Member Reyes.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Dr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Ragland?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
The motion to table those two items carried.
Okay. Without objection, I'd like to motion, moving forward, to appoint one of us as President Pro Tem until the President has been elected. Is there a motion?
You tabled those two items, but you have not adopted your agenda yet.
Got you.
So can we just go back and do 2.1 and adopt the agenda with those two items tabled, please?
Thank you very much. So is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Second.
Okay. Moved by Board Member Ragland, seconded by Adair.
All right. Ms. Beckerly?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Dr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Ragland?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right. Now, is there a motion in order to elect the President Pro Tem until the President has been appointed?
Yes, I move to elect Michael Cole, President Pro Tem, until the election of the President. Second.
Moved and seconded?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Dr. Pierce? Mr. Ragland? Yes. Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly?
Yes.
That motion carried.
All right. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you. Okay, we've called the roll. All right. I'd like to, we can move right into swearing in for our ceremonies, correct? All right. Board Member Jennifer Adair, please approach. She will be sworn in by Judge Jared B. Skinner, the Honorable. And family, please feel free to come up and join.
All right, please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Jennifer Adair,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge my duties as a member of the Columbus Board of Education
discharge my duties as a member of the Columbus Board of Education
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and in accordance
and in accordance
with the laws now
with the laws now
in effect
in effect
and hereafter to be enacted.
and hereafter to be enacted.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, she would do. And Brown? Okay. Pick Antonio. All right. Board Member Carol Beckerly, please approach. She will be sworn in by the Honorable Beryl Brown Pickle Antonio. Come on up, Beryl.
Say your name. Okay, good idea. Ready? I, and then state your name,
I, Carol Beckerly,
affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge my duties as a member of the Board of Education
discharge my duties as a member of the Board of Education
of the Columbus City School District
of the Columbus City School District,
Franklin County, Ohio,
Franklin County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and in accordance with the laws now in effect
and in accordance with the laws now in effect
and those hereafter to be enacted during my continuance in this office
and those hereinafter to be enacted during my continuance in this office
and until my successor is elected and qualified.
and until my successor is elected and qualified.
Congratulations.
Thank you. What an honor.
Awesome. I'd like to invite Board Member Dr. Tina Pierce to the dais as well. She will be sworn in by Dr. Keith Troy. Dr. Troy? All right. I see Mr. Boxell back there as well.
I, Tina Dolores Pierce,
I, Tina Dolores Pierce,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as a member
as a member
of the Columbus Board of Education
of the Columbus Board of Education
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability
in accordance
and in accordance
with the laws
with the laws
now in effect
now in effect
and hereafter to be enacted.
and hereafter to be enacted. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Very welcome, very welcome. Congratulations. And our last board member to be sworn in will be Board Member Brown, to be sworn in by, again, Mrs. Beryl Brown Pickle Antonio.
And for those of you who don't know, Beryl is my older daughter. She was sworn in last night as president of her school board in Gahanna.
And Gahanna, forgive me for that, yes. Congratulations again.
Ready? I state your name.
I, Eric Brown,
Affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge my duties as a member of the Board of Education
discharge my duties as a member of the Board of Education
of the Columbus City School District,
of the Columbus City School District, Franklin County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability and in accordance with the laws
to the best of my ability and in accordance with the laws
now in effect and those hereafter to be enacted
now in effect and those hereafter to be enacted
during my continuance in this office
during my continuance in this office
and until my successor is elected and qualified.
and until my successor is elected and qualified.
Congratulations. That's yours.
All right, congratulations, Board Member Brown. Glad to have you back again. Okay, now what we will do is move into nominations. I want to give, if Mr. Treasurer, if you would give a few points of order regarding nominations and how this process works, specifically to announcing names.
Sure. Nominations for both the president, which you'll do next, and then in a minute for vice president are conducted in an identical manner. Board members, you'll open the floor. The chair will open the floor for nominations. Any board member can nominate another board member. Nominations do not require a second. Upon hearing that there are no more nominations, a motion will be in order to close nominations. That motion, like any motion, requires a second and a majority vote of the board to close nominations. Once nominations are closed, I can read back to you the slate of members that have been nominated, and then we will conduct another roll call, and when I call your name, you will either state the name of the nominee you're voting for, or you may abstain from voting. It is not a yes/no motion at that point, and that process will be followed for both offices.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Are there any questions at this point? Okay. So, yes.
No question. Oh, I'm ready to offer.
I was going to say, you shouldn't have a question at all, but okay.
No questions.
All right, so opening the floor for nominations for president. Are there any nominations? Yes, Mr.
Yes.
Brown.
I am pleased and honored to nominate Jennifer Adair to serve as our school board president for this year.
Are there any other additional nominations? Seeing none, is there a motion to close nominations?
I motion that we close nominations.
Awesome. Mr. President, excuse me, Mr. Treasurer?
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Dr. Pierce? Yes. Mr. Ragland? Yes. Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly?
Yes.
And Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Motion carried, and the nominations are closed.
Congratulations.
to
We have to vote.
Hang
Well,
on.
didn't we just do that?
You just closed nominations.
We just closed. Lord have mercy. Forgive me, y'all. Learning curve.
Yeah,
But I'm all right. I'm all
All
right.
right, and now I'll call roll for the office of president. Please indicate whom you're voting for. Dr. Pierce.
I vote for Jennifer Adair.
Mr. Ragland.
Adair.
Ms. Reyes.
Adair.
Ms. Adair.
Adair.
Ms. Beckerly.
Adair.
Mr. Brown.
Adair.
Mr. Cole.
Adair.
Ms. Adair has been elected president of the Board of Education for 2020.
All right, congratulations. Congratulations.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Either way.
You're fine. Do it with you, Stan.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me, hopefully.
Okay.
I, Jennifer Adair,
I, Jennifer Adair,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as President of the Columbus Board of Education
as President of the Columbus Board of Education
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and in accordance with the laws
and in accordance with the laws
now in effect
now in effect
and hereinafter to be enacted.
and hereinafter to be enacted.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, we are now going to open the floor for nominations for Vice President.
I would like to nominate Ramona Reyes for Vice President for 2020.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing no other nominations, there is a motion to close nominations.
I motion to close nominations.
Is there a second?
Second.
Call roll.
Dr. Pierce? Mr. Ragland?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cole? That motion carried. Good up. Motion carried. I'll now call roll, and you can indicate for whom you are voting. Mr. Ragland?
Reyes.
Ms. Reyes?
Reyes.
Ms. Adair?
Reyes.
Ms. Beckerly?
Reyes.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, Reyes.
Now, Mr. Cole.
Reyes.
Thank you. And Dr. Pierce.
Reyes.
That vote results in Ms. Reyes being elected Vice President of the Board for 2020.
Ms. Reyes will be sworn in by Judge Skinner, joined by her husband, Reverend John T. Coates II. Go slow, because it's going left hand, right?
Yes. Please raise your right hand for me. I state your name.
I, Ramona Reyes,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as Vice President
as Vice President
of the Columbus Board of
of
Education
the Columbus Board of Education
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and in accordance
and in accordance
with the laws now in effect
with the laws now in effect
and hereafter to be enacted.
and hereafter to be enacted.
Congratulations.
I would just like to take a moment to thank everyone, and especially my board colleagues. I think what this represents this year, we are in a new time. We are in a new time with a new board, a brand new board. We're in a new time with a new vision, with new priorities, and we are going to go forward with our new superintendent at the helm. We all support each other, and we all value our children first. No matter if we disagree, and disagreement is good, every single person up here at this dais has something that they bring, something they are passionate about, and something that is valuable to moving our district forward. And together as a team, we will do that. And I ask everyone in this room and in this community to also stand with us, because it takes everyone, from our friends down at City Council, to our partners in the business community, to our nonprofits, to our teachers and wonderful staff. It's going to take everyone. 2020 is going to be an amazing year, and I look forward to serving as your leader and as the leader of this board, along with the 6 other individuals up here. And I'm actually going to take a moment to have each one of them, to give them the opportunity to show you that this isn't about me, this is about us. Give them an opportunity to say a few moments, a few words about what our new year means to them. Is that okay, colleagues? Yes. Can I do that? I'm going to start with Vice President Reyes.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, welcome, new board members. Thank you, community, for being here. Thank you for entrusting me to be Vice President for the 2020 year. I'm also excited to be a part of this team, this amazing team. You will hear a lot of our strategy moving forward. We've been working, Mr. Deere and I have been working diligently with Dr. Dixon. We will be working as a team to tighten that up, present that to the community, and really show you our work. We encourage you, in addition to the words that President Adair just stated, we encourage you to talk to us, communicate with us. This is a partnership, as she stated. We need your input. We're going to ask for your input. When we create and ask you to come to a meeting, please attend, bring your friends. We have a lot of work to do. We have a new superintendent. We've got a new strategy. There's a lot of changes, a lot of exciting changes. Please know that our kids are awesome. They're doing their work. Our teachers are doing their work, but we need our community to also help us in the work. So again, we're looking forward to a great 2020, and are looking forward to working with our colleagues as a team. You will see us as a team.
Mr. Cole? This way. Ms. Beckerly?
I was told I wasn't going to have to say anything tonight. I am humbled and truly excited. It's been interesting as this moment has approached that excitement is really the overriding feeling, and I believe everything Jennifer has said and Ms. Reyes has said, and communication is our top priority. It's the linchpin to everything, and I am going to hopefully represent that in everything I do during the coming year. Thank you.
Mr. Ragland?
Thank you, Madam President. The Book of Luke says, to whom much is given, much is required. This board and this team is required to do the job of moving our children forward. We are in the business of human development, and that requires a lot of sacrifice, that requires a lot of hard work, that requires a lot of teamwork, and it does require you all to help us with that. We ask that each of you play a part in holding us accountable for the job that we are doing. Our superintendent has laid out a vision that will propel our students into successful lives, successful careers, becoming successful citizens within this city. And this board has sworn an oath to make sure that we will join her in making sure that that happens. But we cannot do it without your help and your support. We love every single student that is within our care. We want to see the best for them. And as a team, we are looking forward to tackling all of the obstacles that stand in their way. Columbus City Schools is on a path to greatness. We ask that you join us in getting there. Thank you.
Mr. Brown?
Thank you and congratulations to you. And thank you for your willingness to serve as president. I am very optimistic, looking forward to this year. I'm very excited. I wouldn't have expected, as I begin my 20th year of school board service, that I would be excited at this point, but I truly am. And I think that, all of you have seen that of me over this past year. And I think we've got a great team, the 7 of us. I think that we've got a group that knows each other, that understands each other, and that we will share our ideas even when they don't start out the same. That we will conduct deliberations in the open and have discussion. And we know that the community is a community that can trust us to do that, to work to consensus when we're able to do that, to respect each other above all, and we do, and to focus on the very important work that we have, supporting our superintendent, giving her direction, providing resources, and allowing Dr. Dixon and her team to do their jobs with our support and guidance. I'm very excited about where we're headed. We've got a lot of work to do. This is going to be a very challenging year. We know what we're in the midst of and what else we're going to be tackling this year. And it's going to take some tough work by all of us. But I feel really good about where we are and where we're headed. So thank you, and thank you to the community for allowing us to be in these positions.
Thank you. Dr. Pierce?
Thank you so much, Madam President. I would like to take the opportunity to first acknowledge the fact that this is our first board meeting of the decade. Another decade for our very esteemed Columbus City Schools. As a proud product of our Columbus City Schools, I also want to acknowledge the fact that some of the things that we've done in the past have been absolutely awesome and extraordinary, and we have awesome and extraordinary students and teachers and staff in our midst. So I am too excited that we have chartered a new ground by installing our new president, who Jennifer Dare, something a little new, but also installing our vice president with Ramona Reyes, who is something a little old, and bringing both of those, not in terms of age, but in terms of old, being on the board and serving on the board, but bringing tenure, okay, but bringing together both the seasoned with the new. And I like to think that on this occasion, as we move forward into this new decade, taking action to prepare a better tomorrow, not just for the students that we currently serve, but the students that come in decades to follow, the grandchildren that come into our district, that we take that action with the same vein that we take tonight to congratulate our 2 new officers. I, too, am excited for the work that needs to be done, work around our board governance, ensuring that we have a good governance model that truly involves the community in a meaningful way. When we talk about team, it's not just the 7 people that you see up here. It's all the community members that get out there and vote for our students, that get out there and make sure that our students have safe sidewalks to walk on when it snows. It's all the teachers that keep snacks in their desk because they know that there's a student that may be hungry when they come to class. So it's not just who you see up here making the decisions. It's all of us that pitch in to do the work that we need to do to make sure that all of our students are successful. I'm excited that we're going to work very hard to implement an academic committee to ensure that we have a very high-quality curriculum for all of our students, be it pre-K all the way up to 12, because it's a journey and it's a lifelong journey towards learning to love education. So I'm excited to be able to do that with you all and with our community. Thank you for charting the direction.
Yes.
Let's get to work.
Mr. Cole.
Thank you, Madam President. First and foremost, congratulations to you both. Test. Can you all hear me? Yeah. Awesome. All right, we don't need the microphone. I first, again, want to say congratulations to the both of you. I look forward to your outstanding leadership and your commitment to seeing our success collectively in this district as a whole. I look forward to it. There are three things. I grew up a fighter. There are three things that are kind of my favorite sayings. One comes from a movie, Conan, enough talk. Enough talk. The other one is LL Cool J's 1991 hit, Mama Said, Knock You Out. Now, those both resonate to me in a very specific way, because what it says to me is what my dad always taught me. Son, show them better than you can tell them. So with that in mind, I look forward to an outstanding year. I look forward to us working together. We're going to knock them out. Enough talk, and let's show them better than we can tell them.
Absolutely. 175 years. That is how long our district has been successful. 175 years. And I look forward with this team who is going to be working on engagement with partners, strategic communication, transparency and board accountability, strengthening academic programs, strong governance, and action. You heard it from the 7 of us today, and that is what we will do moving forward. So again, I look forward to working with all of you, with the board. We're ready. So let's keep going with our agenda. No, we're not done. We have to do the calendar. That one didn't get tabled. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is 5.5, the approval of the 2020 meeting calendar. Each of you, I think, received a copy of that calendar. If not, it's in board docs. Is there a motion?
Second.
No.
No, it was not.
It's okay.
We did the correction.
Okay, so the motion was made by Board Member Reyes and I believe seconded by Dr. Pierce? Or Mr. Brown?
Mr. Cole.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Cole. Let's call the roll.
Vice President Reyes? Yes. President Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly?
Yes.
Mr. Brown? Yes. Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Dr. Pierce? Yes. Mr. Ragland?
Yes.
That motion carried.
Okay, well, we are now going to, in a moment, have a motion to adjourn this organizational part of our meeting, and we will take a small break and come back to our regular business meeting for the first meeting of 2020. So is there a motion to adjourn the organizational meeting?
Second.
President Adair?
Yes?
Ms. Beckerly?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Pierce? Mr. Ragland?
Yes.
Vice President Reyes?
Yes.
Motion carried.
We stand adjourned. 5-minute break. Here we are. If we could have board members back to the dais, please, so we can begin. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's yours. Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, but see, all of it's there 100.
I know, it's very important. Okay, if we could have board members back to the dais, please, so we can get started. Who? Yeah, we have speakers. Where's my list? Okay. Talking. As usual. Okay. I would like to call the regular business meeting to order. Mr. President, or I'm the president. Mr. Treasurer, please call the roll.
And if elected, I will not serve. President Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly? Yes. Mr. Brown? Yes. Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Dr. Pierce? Yes. Mr. Ragland?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes? Yes. You have a quorum.
Okay. And sorry, I am on the wrong meeting. So we need to adopt this agenda. We don't need to do the pledge and all that. Okay. So is there so in review of the agenda, this is for those board members who've been here before. This is a typical agenda layout. So we have board recognitions. We have some speakers this evening. We have a consent agenda. And then we have an opportunity for board members to make statements. All of you, I believe, received the agenda prior to this meeting. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Is there a discussion? Please call the roll.
President Adair?
Yes?
Ms. Beckerly? Yes. Mr. Brown? Yes. Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Dr. Pierce? Mr. Ragland?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes, or Vice President Reyes?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we are going to move into item 3.1. We have a resolution to celebrate Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated Gamma Zeta Zeta Chapter Centennial. I'm going to have Mr. Ragland, who is the sponsor of this resolution, present.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to call Soror Mrs. Charity Martin King and the ladies of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated to the podium at this time. As many of you may be aware, there are several members of the Columbus City Schools family that are members of historically Black Greek lettered organizations. I myself am a brother of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Brother Cole is a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Sister Reyes is not in a Divine Nine. However, she is also a member of a sorority, Dr. Dixon. Yes, I'm sorry, Alpha Psi Lambda, Dr. Dixon. There you go. Dr. Dixon is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, and we have several. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Stanford, member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. Yes, I'm trying to make. Yeah, that's right. We've got some deltas definitely in the room, and they are always around. Yes, okay, yes, ma'am. Ms. Chapman, Dr. Chapman is also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha. I don't want to keep going. I may miss some. However, yes, sir, Mr. Odom. I'm sorry, brother. Kappa Alpha Psi as well. See, I did not know that. All right, thank you very much. I appreciate that. But today we are here to celebrate my sorors. And I am so proud that in 1920, we celebrated the birth of the Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And in 2020, we are celebrating 100 years of service, scholarship, and finer womanhood throughout the globe of the Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And Soror Martin King and the rest of the Zeta family have joined us from Gamma Zeta Zeta Chapter. We have a resolution to read. I will read that into the record, ask for a second, get a vote, if we can, Mr. Bohoric, on that. And then I would like to allow Soror King and the rest of her team to bring greetings. Is that okay? Yep. All right. Thank you. Whereas Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated was founded on the ideals that this sorority would directly affect positive change, chart a course of action for the 1920s and beyond, raise consciousness of their people, encourage the highest standards of scholastic achievement, and foster a greater sense of unity around its members. And whereas Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated has continued a steady climb into the national spotlight since its inception, with programs designed to demonstrate concern for the human condition, both nationally and internationally. And whereas Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated was the first of all 9 historically Black Greek lettered organizations to establish a centralized headquarters for operations, form auxiliary groups, and charter chapters internationally, specifically in Africa, and is the first and only historically Black Greek lettered organization to be constitutionally bound to a fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. And whereas Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated Gamma Zeta Zeta Chapter has a more than 75-year history serving the citizens of Columbus, and it is one of the oldest chapters of the organization. And whereas the Gamma Zeta Zeta Chapter has served the students of Columbus City Schools by meeting current needs focused around educational readiness and implementing initiatives which encourage youth to cherish their uniqueness and dare to be different. And whereas the Gamma Zeta Zeta Chapter of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority supports Columbus City Schools through various programs, including its Adopt a School initiative, an ACT testing preparation course, collaboration with The Links Incorporated, sponsorship of a $40,000 scholarship with I Know I Can, and adopting 100 families at Broadley Elementary School, providing 100% of students at Broadley Elementary with a multicultural book. Thousands of dollars in scholarships to Columbus City School students, administering HBCU college tours, and managing college access days. And whereas the Gamma Zeta Zeta Chapter, through its From Girls to Pearls program, has mentored young female girls of color to prepare themselves physically, socially, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, and culturally for passage from childhood to a teen. And whereas Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Gamma Zeta Zeta Chapter, has been a vital part of the community and made an everlasting impact on the students of Columbus City Schools, and now therefore be it resolved by the Columbus Board of Education that we celebrate the centennial celebration of the Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, along with Gamma Zeta Zeta Chapter, on January 16th, 2020. That is a motion, Mr. Board.
Any discussion?
I'm sorry. I missed the second. Was that
Oh,
Board Member Reyes?
sorry.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Beckerly?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cole? Dr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Ragland?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Adair?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. You all have to forgive my slowness of reading. I had eye surgery, and this is one of the first times I've had to read publicly since then. So, Soror Mrs. Charity Martin King The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Ragland. Congratulations, President Adair, Vice President Reyes. Greetings to the members of the board, Dr. Dixon, our lovely superintendent, as well as Mrs. Gillison, our Chief Engagement Officer. It is an honor and a privilege to serve as the president in our illustrious centennial. Zeta Phi Beta sorority reaching 100 years and us being able to see such a milestone is really something that is so grand and hard to conceive. In a matter of a week, many of us will be at Howard University's campus celebrating the Alpha chapter when it was founded there at Howard. But one of the things that I will think about when I am there at Howard next week, because I will be there at the stroke of midnight when we turn 100, celebrating with our sisters as well as our brothers, Brother Ragland of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. What I will be thinking of, above all the celebrations, is the fact that we are a community-conscious, action-oriented organization that was not into a lot of the elitism of the day. And we wanted to see the advancement of cultural and educational goals of not just women of color, but adult auxiliaries of women who don't have degrees in our youth. We were the first to charter south of the Mason-Dixon line, as well as to go international in Africa. We are now in countries all over the globe, including, most recently, Dubai. In front of me, I stand proudly with several educators that have served in Columbus City Schools, as well as many people who have worked in Columbus City Schools. Behind me, if you could raise your hand, is Cora Brown Miller, who is a retired educator in Columbus City Schools. She received an award from the CEA, as well as the MLK Educator of the Year Award. Also behind me is Charlotte Goins Carter, who is retired from Columbus City Schools. She is here standing with me as well. We also have in our chapter Izetta Murray, who served a great deal of time with the CEA, recently retired, as well as Gani Goins, retired educator from Columbus City School. My sons, Izetta Thomas, who is currently working in Columbus City Schools. Misha Bostic, who is in the benefits department of Columbus City Schools. Carla Robinson, who is retired from Columbus City Schools. Did I miss any of my educators in the chapter who are here with me tonight? Sora Pamela Blake with Columbus City Schools. Did I get everybody? And Kathy Mock, who is retired. She also taught in Columbus City Schools, as well as many of her family members, Dr. Deborah Copeland and Joseph Copeland, who is Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity, and another one of our Soras here tonight, if you could wave your hand. Sister Sora Dorothy, who has also Wilson, Sora Dorothy Wilson. When I celebrate in Howard next week, we are also sponsoring a young lady with $40,000 in partnership with I Know I Can, and we did Gamma Zeta Zeta chapter, the first ever historically Black Greek letter scholarship with I Know I Can, and following suit last year were the men of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, Alpha Rho Lambda chapter, who did it, and I know this year there will be others who will follow. Our student with that $40,000, when I visit Howard next week, I will have the pleasure to see her, Kenya Sole Oye, who is a graduate of Columbus Alternative High School, who is also attending Howard University on that particular scholarship. And I was pleased to learn that she is pursuing public policy and history, and will hopefully one day, I pray, join our organization, because we are community conscious and action oriented. I thank you, Brother Ragland, for having us here tonight. I thank my sorors of Gamma Zeta Zeta chapter of joining me tonight, and for being here as we continue to blaze trails in the city of Columbus, chartered September 4th, 1943, here in Columbus, Ohio, the glorious Gamma Zeta Zeta chapter. Thank you.
Don't go away, ladies. Don't go away. Are there any comments that the board, Mr. Ragland?
Oh, no.
Any additional comments? No?
Just want to, in case you didn't know, and I don't think I've shared this with you, Ms. Charity Martin King is my mother-in-law, is from your sorority, and she also is a retired teacher from Columbus City School, Mrs. Daisy Coates. That's my mom. So just wanted to put that out there. She's still around.
Yes, she is. That's awesome.
Are there any other comments? Well, congratulations, and we would be honored to celebrate your centennial if you would take a photo with us, and we are going to come up behind here since there are
Okay.
so many of you beautiful ladies.
Thank you, President Adair. Thank you, Brother Ragland. All blue and white. Brother Ragland's asking for the men of Phi Beta Sigma who are here, if you could come. I know I saw Carter Womack, our international 27th and 29th president, was here. Also Ulysses Ford from Beta Omicron Sigma chapter.
Open it up.
Open it up.
And if we can tighten up and then we'll put something you want to step back.
We're gonna have to space out.
So you make, yeah, you make that initiator right there. Oh, no,
Did you know, is that what you selected your color?
she knows she's a sharp. Who's a sharp? All right. Okay, is that you?
I'm black and gold. That's all right. I think they'll be happy.
Make sure you're not right behind chairs. Right, I'm going in the back. Find a window.
To the balance out. Yeah, I can't see her.
Dr. Dixon?
Dr. Pierce.
I'm gonna come up.
Being here tight.
Dr. Pierce. Can I have it right here?
Can we see everyone?
There we go. Look at that. Everybody get a
Make sure
window.
you're under window, Sora Robinson. She in the window this time? We already talked about it. She's always the one.
If you can't see the photographer, they can't see you. Who's first?
We're ready. 1, 2, 3.
Funny how everybody gets quiet, like that's gonna make a difference.
Got it? You don't want to be caught.
Ari, I need that. Tag Charlotte Carter. Yes. You guys have white turn one. We're used to that. We're used to that.
Congratulations.
Yes, ma'am. Ramona, I don't have your phone. Give me your card. My phone number.
Finally.
I wanted to tell you many years ago when I was
That's right. That's right.
Oh, yeah?
So make sure you tell her you met Andy Cole.
Okay, well.
That's fine, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. She is going to be right back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we are now going to move into the public comment portion of our agenda. Just to remind everyone that speakers have no more than 4 minutes to deliver their remarks. Board members may ask clarifying questions after the speaker is finished. So our first speaker this evening is Andrew Boy, and the topic is purchase of Monroe Middle School property. The board action requested is to know that his company is interested in buying Monroe Middle School. Mr. Boy.
Good evening. Congratulations, President Adair,
Thank you.
Vice President Reyes. Good evening, Treasurer Bahork, Internal Auditor, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Talisa Dixon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Andy Boy. I'm the founder and CEO of United Schools Network, a nonprofit network of 4 high-quality, locally grown charter schools serving grades K through 8 in the Franklinton and Near East neighborhoods. Nearly 100% of our students are economically disadvantaged, 83% identify as students of color, and 14% have identified learning disabilities. Our students are reaching and achieving powerful results. Last year, 100% of our USN students met the 3rd grade reading guarantee. Our students outperformed their neighborhood counterparts by double digits in reading and math in every grade and outscored the state averages in 10 subjects. When our students matriculate back to high schools around the city, including more than 50% of them returning to Columbus City high schools, they are better prepared for success. Last year, 97% of our high school-aged alumni graduated within 4 years of enrolling in high school, and 74% of those graduates enrolled directly into college. When we work together, we create life-changing results. Over the last decade, our schools have worked collaboratively with some of you and your predecessors on the purchase of 3 unused district buildings. Each time, Columbus students benefited from these sales, making the best possible use of public assets and directing more resources into current district schools. By selling the property to USN, the district shed the costly upkeep of a vacant building and was able to use the proceeds from the sales to complete much-needed renovations for other buildings. Rather than squeeze our students into temporary spaces unfit for classrooms, we were able to transform vacant buildings into great learning environments for the community, all of which are still thriving today. Over the last 10 years, we have also worked with several of your senior leaders to share best practices and learn from each other, something I look forward to doing more of with Dr. Dixon and her team. I'm hoping we can continue in the spirit of collaboration and the best interest of students. Specifically, I'm here to ask that you take action to deem the unused Monroe Middle School building as surplus. As you know, Ohio Revised Code 3313.411 identifies this action as the necessary first step for district buildings that have been unused for 2 years before a high-performing charter school can make an offer to purchase the facility. I am requesting this action based on the understanding that the building has not been used by the district since it closed in 2014, according to the building use forms from your Buildings and Records Department and the appraisal completed in the spring of 2019. The Monroe building has not been mentioned in any board meetings or documents since the release of the 2016 Facilities Master Plan. In fact, the district released another Facilities Master Plan in April of 2018, and there was no mention of the building. There was also a 2018 CCS Facilities Task Force report released in August of 2018 that does not mention the Monroe building. We have expressed interest in transforming the vacant Monroe building into a thriving school for years. On September 19th, we sent this certified letter that you guys have in front of you to Dr. Dixon requesting a meeting to formally discuss the future of the building. We were able to meet on October 16th and again make our request on December 20th, but we were unable to come to an agreement, which brings me here before you tonight. Based, again, on Ohio Revised Code 3313.411, the lack of use legally requires that the district make the building available to high-performing charters. Giving this clear directive of this statute and our exemplary track record of serving students, this is an easy decision. President Adair and members of the board, I request that you take special action to make this building available here this evening. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'm happy to take any questions with the time remaining.
Thank you, Mr. Boy, for being here. Before I open it to the board, Madam Superintendent, is there anything you or your team would like to share with the board?
Thank you, Madam President. What Mr. Boy has stated as far as our conversation is correct. We did meet at the time that we met and discussed that particular building. I shared with him later that I was unaware that that was part of the facility master plan to be utilized for another school. So currently, that building is slated to be used for the boys' school, that land. And that's how it's stated, and that's what I shared with him in our latest meeting, and apologize for the oversight that I had. I had an oversight that I was not aware that that building was stated there. But so at this point, it is a part of the facilities master plan, and it has been since 2014, I believe. And so we don't have any other, we've not had any other conversation about it other than what is stated in the facilities master plan.
Thank you. Board members, are there any questions? Clarifying questions? Mr. Brown?
Don't have a question. I simply want to commend you, Mr. Boyd, for being here and for the work that you have done with us over the years. I know, we've talked about that, and, happy to have you in the community as a partner doing important work. And certainly there may be things that we can learn from each other going forward. And I appreciate the opportunity to continue that relationship.
Any other clarifying comments? Mr. Ragland?
Dr. Dixon, do you believe that there's an opportunity to continue working with Mr. Boyd in general to discuss partnerships and any type of solution that we may have to increasing the opportunity for young people here in the city? What really holds strongly with me is the fact that they have taken over 2 other facilities and are doing well, and so we've seen these types of partnerships in the past, and I would encourage us to continue to at least, as you have been doing, meeting with Mr. Boyd to see what we could explore. Is that still on the table?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what we discussed. We discussed some, strengthening the partnership. What are some things that we can do differently? For example, his schools go from K to 8. And we talked about, well, what it would be a strategy that we have the students come directly to our schools as 9th graders. Mm-hmm. So what are some things that we need to build the kind of system so that can flow seamlessly from their schools to our schools? So my hope that we would continue the conversation and strengthening our partnership in that way. And then allow time for us to think about what we're going to do with our other facilities. So we have just not Monroe, we have other facilities. But just as a reminder to the public, we do have a curriculum audit that's currently taking place. We also have a portrait of a graduate as community conversations that we have. We want to make sure that we are building the schools and have the programs for tomorrow's kids, not just today's kids. And I just want to make sure that we are not, providing access to facilities that we may need in the future. Again, I was very transparent with Mr. Boyd and told him that I didn't do my due diligence in knowing about that particular building when we had our first meeting. So again, I apologize for that. But moving forward, as we prepare our district families and kids for the schools that we know that our students will need in the future, we need to be very mindful about the assets that we do have, and we do need to do our due diligence and make sure that we go back, evaluate, and make sure that any facilities that we're offering really are facilities that we do not have any plans for in the future.
Any additional clarifying comments? Thank you, Mr. Boyd, for being here. Sure.
So I just want to clarify that Ohio Revised Code 3313.411 says use of a building, not a plan for a building. So the fact is, whether you've had a plan for it since 2014 and you just said a plan for it yesterday, the code says that you have to have used it within the last 2 years. And so under Ohio Revised Code, the district must make this building available to high-performing charter schools. I just want to make sure that that's clarified.
Thank you for that, and I'm sure we will continue conversations. Our next speaker this evening is Mr. Charles Tennant, who is here to speak about the Columbus Afrocentric Early College, and he has some comments to share about that school. Mr. Tennant.
Hold on just a second. Oh, they're up here. Madam President, member of the boards, Dr. Dixon, and Mr. Heroic, I'm so happy to be here. And I want to point out something that I would like to talk to you about, and it is about parent involvement. You have a sheet, and on the front, and I want to remind everyone that I was an educator for 45 years, and I know this stuff pretty well. I taught from 3rd grade through 12th grade, and you see on the front, you see a simple definition of education. It's a development. Mrs. Gillison, would you come up a minute? Do a little demonstration for you. And I always use demonstrations so children can visualize what I'm talking about instead of just seeing it. And Mrs. Gillison, I'm going to give you this bag. It's bad soil. And you can pour it in the cup.
Pour it in the cup?
Yeah.
This is bad soil.
And this is good soil. And I want to explain to you what it is to get to you what I am going to talk about. George Washington Carver, many years ago, down in the South, taught farmers how to rotate their crops. And they had to rotate them, thank you, because the crops had eaten all of the nutrients. There are 6 very important nutrients in soil to make plants grow. And one of them would be nitrogen, you would have sulfur, calcium. I won't tell you the other 3 because if I do, you won't look it up. So I want you to look up what the other 3 are, and when I see you, I want you to tell me what they are. In the bad soil, without the nutrients, you put water on it, and incidentally, this is a black-eyed pea, there are 40,000 different beans on the planet. And I put this water in here and wait 2 or 3 months, it's not going to produce anything. But over here, with the good soil, and I pour water on it with the nutrients, 1 pea would produce about 200 or 300 black-eyed peas. Parent involvement. Most school districts, and I've done research on this, I called 4 of my friends who were former superintendents, nothing in the budget for parent involvement. And let's say if this school district had a budget of $500 million, I think it's a little more than that, and you took 2%, with about 100 schools, you could give each school $100,000. PTA and PTO are fine, but nothing with parent involvement. And if you go on and read this, it'll tell you what parent involvement is all about, and that is getting parents involved totally in the educational program. I'm over at the Afrocentric School a lot. They do a lot of wonderful things, but I don't see anything dealing with parents. I would like to set up, Dr. Dixon, and I'm really sincere, a GED program over there at the school. I would like to set up a college preparatory program for those who would like to go to college but don't have the money for those core courses. And when kids see this, they will emulate their parents. The old African aphorism, which is Igbo, It takes a child to raise a village. It takes everybody to raise a child. And we can only do it if we begin to get parents involved in the academic process. I would also like to invite the school board to see that school. It is one of a kind. We had an African architect who I worked very closely with, and there are columns in there that I took Dr. Dixon on a tour, and I've taken 300 or 400 people. They didn't know what those columns were. They are African columns. There are other things in there, aphorisms in there that I can explain, but the tour will take an hour and a half, and you tell me you only have a half hour, it's no need in coming, because I won't do that. I want you to learn instead of just seeing something and walk out the door and forget it.
Lieutenant, you're not going to make me use my gavel, are you?
No.
We love
How
you
many-
so much, but
How
you're
many,
out of time,
how many
sir.
minutes do I have?
You're out of time.
Okay.
We love you so much, and you are always such an educator when you come, and you bring such passion and wonderful ideas.
Okay.
We want to give the board an opportunity to see if they have any questions for you.
Okay.
Okay?
Go ahead.
Are there any questions or comments, Mr.
Mr. Cole?
About, I wanted to get a clear idea about what your thoughts on family engagement were specifically at the Afrocentric, and how we can be involved, because I'm definitely inspired and interested.
You take parents, and I see plenty of them come over there, and many people think parents who come over there, they may be high school dropouts, they may have 2 or 3 kids, and they look at them as being dummies. But I want you to understand that Albert Einstein got D's and F's, and he turned out to be one of the greatest geniuses that ever lived. I had a student several years ago at Marion Franklin High School, and the counselor told her she wasn't college material. I took her down to Ohio University, and she graduated in 3.5 years with a 3.8. And these parents have those same possibilities. They have that same input. And if we can train them to believe in themselves, and kids see what they can do in school, provide them with the GEDs, and then provide them with the core courses that they would need to go to college, I'm sure that the academics and the test scores will go up. And as I told Dr. Dixon, if we do this, we have a D, and I told her in 5 years, the rating will be a B. But it takes the input of everybody here, the input of the communities, the input of businesses. And you'll be surprised if you read this, what businesses will do. Several years ago, I had some kids in an OWA program, and all the kids across the country worked in fast foods. I am not afraid of being rejected and told no. I went to Nationwide Insurance, Grains Mutual, and other big businesses and got 13 kids employed. And I had one that came to me, has 45 years in it, and she said, Mr. Tennant, I can't retire, I don't have the age. We have a wonderful superintendent. I'd like to get to know the other board members that work with me and work with the community and do this as a pilot program, then eventually spread it out to other schools, and what a change you'll see. I promise you that.
Thank you. I believe Ms. Beckerly, do you have a question? Oh, Ms.
Thank you, Madam President. I guess my question would be for Dr. Dixon. At some point in the future, because I know that you've been working on family engagement and parental involvement really since the first day that you got here. If there could be an aspect of one of your executive reports to us that talks a little bit about the practices that we have that are district-wide, you know, what Mr. Tennant has mentioned, it really is an equity issue. We do have, you know, PTAs and PTOs in some schools, and there are some others that would like to have them but don't necessarily have the resources. I know that the state looked into that with the last budget, and so there may be a way for us to possibly engage, but I know that we've got several initiatives that are going on throughout the district, to your point, Mr. Tennant. And Dr. Dixon, at some point, if you could come back to us and say, give us really you know, an executive overview of what our activities are, and let us know how we might be able to help you get even more resources to do the type of work that Mr. Tennant is looking to try and do over at Columbus Afrocentric, I think that may be good for us.
Mr. Ragland, a comment on that. In 1987, I started a GED program at West Broad Elementary School.
Yes, sir.
Highly successful. They didn't want to go, and most parents don't want to go out of the neighborhoods. And this was up here. And if we can get that done, and we have to understand the hermeneutics of parent involvement. It's not in the office shelling out papers. I want them in the classroom. I want them doing things. And once we can do that, this airplane will rise.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say I couldn't agree more, and I will be in touch because I want to talk about some of these ideas, and I want to go visit Afrocentric with you.
I would love to have that. It's the only school in the country like it. I would like to explain the Kente Claw. I took some people through it. They practice Nguzu Saba, which is Swahili, and I give you the full background of Swahili and tell you what Nguzu Saba is. Saba is the Swahili word meaning seven. I won't tell you Nguzu until you come up with it. And you need to focus on what's there. There's no, like my grandmama would have said, ain't nothing like it.
Dr. Pierce?
Thank you for coming to share your comments with us. And I just want to add that I was here doing my homework. So nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, what we got? Calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. So I think we got all six.
Okay, tell me what they are.
I just told you what they were.
I was
all
messing
right, I
up
did
on
my
my
homework. Y'all can thank me later. Y'all can thank me later, team and community. But I appreciate your comments today because they acknowledge the very real important aspect that parents and caregivers are the first teachers for our students. And as we think about how our city is growing and thriving, there are neighborhoods and areas in which individuals in our city are not thriving. Individuals do need the skills and resources to be able to obtain jobs for a living wage. And so I love the fact that you came here and you challenged us again to think about education, not just within the realms of pre-K through 12, but to think about it as a journey, to think about how we're equipping our parents with the skills and the resources to not just help their students with homework, but also to prepare them for higher opportunities economically in our city. And so I appreciate that. I have several little cousins that attend Afrocentric. I go over there often with my students, and I have been over there to lecture. It is far beyond just a beautiful building. It is a building that is thriving with the rich legacy of our district, again, setting national standards, as you have said several times.
One other comment, I promise I'm out the door. 99% of all of the seniors graduated. I never read anything in the paper or anywhere else about it. The girls' basketball team was the only team in the state that went undefeated, and they had an overall grade point average of 3.5, but I never saw anything anywhere about that. They had a shooting over there on Allegheny at a bar, and they announced it on TV, a shooting at the Afrocentric. It did not happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tennant, for being here. Okay, we are going to now move into the portion of the agenda where our direct reports provide us some executive reports, and the first up is our superintendent. Madam Superintendent, do you have a report to give us this evening?
Yes, I have a brief report. Okay, thank you. All right. So first, I would like to begin with an update on a portrait of a graduate process that's in full swing with 4 public sessions happening this month. As I mentioned before, we are partnering with Battelle for Kids to develop a portrait of the graduate over the course of this school year. Our portrait of a graduate will serve as the educational vision for our schools, bringing our community together with a shared purpose to articulate our community's aspiration for every student in Columbus City Schools. In order to actively engage diverse perspectives from our staff, students, and the broader community, we're hosting 4 community conversations in January, beginning this Thursday at Northland High School at 6 p.m. We will also host sessions on Thursday, January 16th at East High School, Wednesday, January 22nd at South High School, and Wednesday, January 29th at Wedgwood Middle School. Each of the 4 community conversations is open to the public. Community members can choose to attend any of the 4 sessions, and it is not necessary to attend multiple times. The complete details, including the date and locations for the community conversations, are available on our website. Also, our commencement schedule. Speaking to CCS graduates, the schedule for our 2020 commencement ceremonies is now available on our website. We have a total of 19 ceremonies this spring, beginning on Wednesday, May 27th, and running through Saturday, May 30th. Times and locations for each high school are available on the website. Graduation meetings. The district is hosting the second round of graduation meetings for families in February to explain the new graduation requirements and how they impact students. These meetings are open to parents and guardians of students of all grade levels. Meeting information has been sent to families throughout the district's auto dialer system, and the dates and locations are also available on our website. The district will be holding its Saturday graduation boot camp over the course of 6 weeks from February 29th through April 4th. This is where students can earn industry credentials, internship hours, and have extra time to finish VCAP in time to graduate. College Credit Plus meetings will be held on January 9th at Eastmore Academy and on January 22nd at The Point at Artavine University. For more information on graduation details and requirements, please visit our website. Also, Saturday, Power 3 Academy. So registration is now open for our upcoming Power 3 Academy, which will be held on Saturdays beginning February 8th through March 14th from 9 a.m. to noon. We've expanded the program this year to include reading and math interventions, and we're including 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. This program is free to our families, and transportation and food is provided at no cost. For more details or to register, please visit the district website. And finally, our school choice fairs. Our school choice lottery fairs begin next week, and our high school, for a high school and middle school fair on Thursday, January 16th. Our elementary school fair is scheduled for Thursday, February 6th. Both events will be held at Columbus Afrocentric from 6 to 7:30 p.m. At these events, families will have an opportunity to check out school options, meet with the school staff, and submit lottery applications. For more details about the school choice lottery process, please visit our website or contact our fact line. And that would be all for my report today. But our next meeting, we're going to have some additional information regarding our summer school program. We have a presentation that will be provided to the board, our summer program and all the experiences we have, along with some other information for our next meeting.
Great. I know that we have a few questions already because there's lots of questions about your reports, which is great. Just a reminder to the board that we do get to speak at graduation, and so that is something I want to make sure we get on the calendar. So please, let's work through the superintendent, and we will get everyone scheduled for graduation. Misty will work with us to get us scheduled for graduation. Okay, Ms. Reyes, hold on. Do you have a question? Well, we have a line of questions. Can I put you in queue?
I wanted to respond to your...
Oh, to that?
To that particular item.
Yes, sir.
For a number of years, as I've observed graduations and participated in some graduations, and having done much of this in the past, I want to suggest that we as a board rethink the practice of board members speaking at those graduations. There may be circumstances, for example, if a particular board member has kids in a school where it makes sense. But oftentimes, I'm not sure that it does from either the student's perspective or from ours. That to many schools, many of us are strangers. We are not involved in ways, and I think that it may be worth thinking about and considering whether students or students with guidance from their administrators and teachers might want to choose their own graduation speakers, choosing people that are important to them, important to their schooling, or an outside person that is meaningful to them. And before we just jump into this, I'd like to at least for us to pause and rethink it. I've got some more thoughts on it that I can share when we do that, but I just want to at least suggest a pause and a reconsideration.
Yeah, I think that that is a fine idea to pause and consider. Just so the public understands, it is required that a board member be there to certify the graduating class. It is required. But I think comments about maybe the length of speeches or things of that nature, I have heard things from schools and audiences. So I do think it is an opportunity to pause and reflect and ensure that the day is about our students and ensuring that our role is appropriate and proper. So we will continue to have those thoughts. And in the meantime, though, because we do have to be there to certify, please let Misty know your selections, and we will finalize those as appropriate. So Vice President Reyes, you had a question for the superintendent.
Yes, so thank you for your report, Dr. Dixon. So one of the issues that we've had in the past, or maybe concerns from parents, is around graduation. So is my child graduating? What are they missing? What should we do? On the website, or maybe today, can we talk, give a resource where, sometimes our students don't necessarily tell our parents they still are missing a credit, may not be work. That's probably one of our biggest concerns when a parent calls in April or May when they find out that their child actually won't be graduating or going across the stage. Can we provide some information on how we can make that process better?
Okay.
I don't know if somebody wants to talk about it now or where they can call.
Yeah, I think that my answer will be, okay, go ahead.
I was to President Adair, Vice President Reyes, and members of the board. I think the most immediate way for a parent to get information about their child is to contact the school and speak with the school's counselor. That would be the most immediate and direct way for the parent to get that information.
And if there's any concern about the information they receive from a school counselor, the protocol would be go to the principal, or do they call a fact line, or?
When they sit down with their counselor, there is a graduation planner, and that graduation planner, that's what you were looking for.
Yes, ma'am.
The graduation planner documents all of the courses and credits needed for graduation. It also documents credentialing information and also assessment information. So that one document has that information. So if a parent hasn't seen that graduation planner, then parents should be asking right now to see a copy of the graduation planner. And if they don't have it, then they should go up to the school and ask to speak with the counselor.
And I think one of your colleagues would like to.
Thank you, President Adair and Vice President Reyes, to the board's questions. Just so you know, on January 27th, we'll be releasing our My App, which is part of Infinite Campus. And within the parent portal, every parent that has parent portal access will be able to see the requirements of their high school student, and it shows in green what they've completed, in yellow what's in progress, and in red what is still needed. So that 4-year planner that we used to do on paper is actually electronic now. So January 27th, help us celebrate.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Ragland?
I'd like to kind of stay right there, Vice President Reyes. With what Dr. Klein just mentioned, maybe there's a way that we could use technology to gather that information and make sure that parents receive it at the beginning of the school year. If so say we're dealing with seniors, because I believe that your question, Board Member Reyes, is coming from parents who receive the notification too late, right? I find out that my child is not graduating in April, where it's too late for me to do anything about it. But what Dr. Klein just mentioned, kind of that checklist, that may be something that we could, really, at the beginning of the school year, as a part of what we do, we make sure that students bring back their emergency forms or, fill out those emergency forms and those types of things. When we're dealing with our older students, that may be something, check the box here to make sure that you've seen what this year entails for your child to be able to graduate. I'd also like to see some more emphasis on, we used to have parent academies where parents would be trained on these types of things and how they could learn how to interact a lot better within the school system and within the actual school itself. I'm not sure how much we're doing of that still within the district, but that may be something that we might can return to with all of the good things that we've talked about today. And to your point, Mr. Brown, I guess I would forego my graduation assignment if Michelle Obama wanted to go and speak at Eastmore. But yeah, I think that is something we should look at as far as policy is concerned, and it may be an appropriate place for us to kind of take a look at that during the Policy Review Committee. My question to you regarding your report, Dr. Dixon, regarding the College Credit Plus program and the events that we have that are upcoming, what age groups specifically are we targeting to get that information out to, so that I can, be really specific around who we want to come to those events and what we're looking for to get the most value out of those events that we have coming up today.
President Adair, Vice President Reyes, and members of the board, College Credit Plus is available to any student 7th grade through 12th. And those meetings are targeted for any parent to come. The one thing is, the parents do have to come in and have that meeting so that the student is eligible for those College Credit Plus activities. To your prior question too, the meetings that are coming up where we're talking about the graduation requirements, we have people from Central Enrollment come and help parents with the parent portals on those nights as well. So that's a great time for parents to be able to come, learn about the app, because the meetings are in February, so we can actually help them look at that. But from the counselors, each counselors meet specifically with the parents of the students that senior year and are given that graduation planner. At Briggs High School, I was there for the event, and that was done that first week of school. So those are some great resources, but I would suggest all parents can come. We can go through that app at those the graduation meetings, regardless if your child is in 6th, 7th, 8th, all the way through 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade, because it's never too early to learn about those graduation requirements and what is needed for the students to graduate.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yes, ma'am.
To her? Okay.
So when we identify schools where we're not seeing as high a usage of the College Credit Plus program, I know that you all have strategic plans to kind of, see if we can't get those numbers boosted up. Now, are those down to the school level? Like, are you working specifically with the building principal to say, okay, well, here at Whetstone, we think that we could do more if we did these things, but then it's something else altogether over at, say, a Briggs or a West. Are you doing it by the building level, or is this just something that's comprehensive to try to increase our enrollment in these programs?
So it's district-wide. Certain schools have definite pathways that have College Credit Plus courses in line. For example, at Briggs, the students can have through the I3 grant. With Columbus State, there is actual classes that are being taken there at West High School, Whetstone, Northland, Beechcroft. But it's available for any student at any school, regardless of where they're at. And we're really, under Dr. Ocasio, we're really looking at extending that, even if a student might be at a school where there's not 20 students to have a particular class, and trying to work through blended learning opportunities where all students in every high school have access to the exact same through that model.
You finished? Okay. Board Member Beckerly?
I just have a comment about College Credit Plus, but also the parents who might not be caught by surprise that their student isn't graduating. And I think it actually ties back to what Mr. Tennant was saying. And the parents that know there's a portal, the parents that access it early on, they're not going to be surprised. But there's a disconnect between a parent who might be saying to their child, are you going to graduate? And it gets back to parent engagement. So part of these things that Mr. Tennant was suggesting go hand in hand with making sure that nobody's surprised that their student isn't graduating, which is being really intentional about parent engagement. And I just think, that's going to be a theme throughout. But I think that's the real answer to a lot of these questions, because it's really not so much, do we have a portal? Do we have a good system? Do we have our planner? It's how do we make sure that everyone knows about it and is accessing it?
To Board Member Beckerly's comment as well, when we think about our grandmothers that are raising some of our students, our aunties that are raising some of our students, how are they getting access to not just the information about graduation, but also about the school fairs that are coming up? So my question is, do we have a strategic communication plan to meet parents and caregivers beyond technology? Do we have a plan for principals to come outside and tell parents, hey, we have a fair that's about to take place? Do we have the schools saying that teachers are going to be sending home emails telling students in class we have these fairs going on, we have apps? Share it with your caregivers and your parents as well. What's our real strategic plan to engage people beyond technology? Because as Board Member Beckerly said, the people with the apps are already going to open it up and go there. They're going to know that information. I'm very concerned about the grandmas, the aunties, the uncles that are raising students that don't have access to technology.
It's the reason that we established this whole Office of Engagement. Because early on, when I was doing my 100 days reviews with the community, I think there was a miscommunication of what was engagement and what was communications, right? So yes, we communicate in multiple ways, but we saw that we were not engaging parents to all of your points. And that's something that we're working with. What is that strategic? What is that strategy? So we are working with consultants. There's going to be a report later that we're talking about. That's why we're working with Joy Epstein on, family engagement. So we're being very intentional about what is that strategy, and so that everyone understands what the strategy is and the why, and then how do we expect to see it, to your point. Because right now we have a communication protocol, right? But we do not have an embedded strategy not yet, but we're working towards that.
So do we have a short game to communicate this app being launched, the school fairs taking place that extends outside of Instagram blast and Facebook messages, but that puts boots on the ground?
Yes, and we do have that, but I think there's still a part of the disconnect, right? So we can have a principal that can come up and say they've done everything you just described, right? And they believe that that's engagement. They've stood out in front, they've given out flyers, they've made robocalls, they've put it on Facebook, Instagram, whatever the apps are, right? And then someone still misses it, right? Because someone still says, well, you didn't send a letter home, right? And we say, well, we've moved to technology, we don't mail letters, right? So we didn't call me, I have a new number. So we always, we miss something, there would be something missed even in our best efforts. But making sure that everywhere we go, it's, everyone knows And what that looks like, we're still strengthening and working on that specific strategy. So we do have it on the website. We are talking about it. We have robocalls. We have all of that. But can we do more? Yes. So for example, our partner organizations, are we putting flyers in the windows of businesses, right? Or are we making church announcements, are we making radio announcements? I mean, all of those are increased strategies that we can add to our portfolio when we are moving forward.
Last comment. And I would just like to add that, so I had the pleasure of being in Cincinnati over their winter break, and they have their school fairs coming up too. And they actually mention a historical fact about the district, about the city, and then there's this piece about come out to see our school fairs, learn about our high schools. It was done very well, very nicely, and it was a radio ad. So it would be great for us to be able to promote our school fairs with something very similar. Again, Cincinnati Public Schools, a best practice. Radio.
Right. Yep.
I just want to share that I was talking about something a little more subtle, or maybe even a little more targeted. And I was, because before we get to different ways of communicating, you have to build the relationships. And and I just wanted to be clear, because once we got the relationships, they're going to listen to the robocall.
Exactly.
Until we have the relationships, nobody's listening to the robocall.
Right. And that's why I said the strategy.
No.
Right,
I think we're agreeing, but I just wanted to make
yeah.
sure that it was clear that we were talking about more than just how to communicate.
Right, because we just don't want to do things that people just like, oh, this is not Columbus City Schools, right? Have we really taken the time to reach all of our stakeholders in a very meaningful way, right? And then when we meet, then people, they'll listen to us, right? And then because what we're saying means and resonates with the people we're trying to reach.
And many of the things are on Mr. Tennant's list.
Yeah, agree.
Board members, are there any other questions for the superintendent about her report? All right, thank you so much. Okay, we are now at 6.1, the internal auditors. The report from the internal auditors this evening.
Madam President, there is no report this evening.
Okay, thank you. And 7.1, Mr. Treasurer, do you have a report this evening?
No report, just a reminder and announcement that the Finance and Appropriations Committee will meet a week from tomorrow on the 15th in this room, 4 p.m.
Okay, thank you. We are now moving into our consent agenda, and just a reminder to board members that a member of the board may request an item be removed from the consent agenda by majority vote of the board, so just be aware of that for those of you that this is your first time doing this. You all should have received this information before, and this has you've gone over it. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Are there any comments or discussion about any item on the consent agenda? Ms. Beckerly, looks like you have a comment.
A comment. I would like to discuss 12.3 and 12.4. And I want to give a big thank you to Dr. Dixon and her team and Dr. Ocasio and her team for purchasing the initial, proposing the initial request of classroom sets for the program fundamentals. I also want to thank you for not only just making the decision and going forward with implementing the program, but also with also proposing to hire Diebold Associates to help implement it. I spent my entire time campaigning saying we needed phonics and we needed to implement it correctly, and this is the quickest campaign promise that has ever been delivered in history. So thank you for that. On a serious note, I think this is a huge step forward. I think it's exactly what we need. I think the research shows it, and I think it's going to change our reading scores. And it's going to change, more importantly than changing the reading scores, it's going to change students' lives. I do want to have one cautionary note, though. Having
been in that situation, having taught in elementary school, understanding the training that the elementary teachers have had, and understanding the context within which this change is coming in terms of what is euphemistically called the reading wars in the literature and in some of the research. I think we need to be really, really mindful of the paradigm shift we are asking these teachers to do. And we have to implement it gingerly, with understanding, with validation, and be very thoughtful. Because having sat through many new reading programs, having taught and been in that situation, it's incredibly easy for the teachers not to embrace it. And we have to honor that knowledge and be intentional. But thank you, again. My campaign promise has been delivered.
Any other comments about the consent agenda? I just wanted to draw attention to 12.2, that we are actually awarding some diplomas this evening. And I wanted to highlight that because that is an accomplishment. So it is the Ohio Department of Education 22 plus adult high school diploma. And we are giving those this evening to Marvin Lorenzo Crumby, Tanisha Renee Davis, Jacqueline Marie Gibson, Erica Y. Ivory, Cortez Hassan Johnson, and Shirley A. White. I think everyone deserves to have their name read when they have made that accomplishment. Mr. Brown?
To point out that we have a number of very nice donations that have been made to the school district, to various programs, and we want to make sure that we recognize and let these folks know we appreciate the donations and send them thanks.
Okay, any additional comments about the consent agenda? Is roll call, right? Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Dr. Pierce? Mr. Ragland?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank you. So we are now in the part of the agenda where board members can make announcements and give points of pride. Any points of pride or announcements this evening? We're just excited to go forward. All right. Then if there are no comments or points of pride, we do not have any executive session this evening, so we will entertain a motion to adjourn. Yes, second. A roll call?
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Dr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Ragland?
Yes.
Vice President Reyes?
Yes.
President Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Motion carried.
We are adjourned.